30 years of the best sports talk in Middle Tennessee, featuring Tennessee Radio Hall of Famer George Plaster, Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame coach Watson Brown, and young guns Billy Derrick. And now, here's your host, George Plaster.
Hello again, everybody. Welcome in on the Friday before a big old holiday weekend. Man, that does sound good, doesn't it? Hope all of you are getting ready to have a great Memorial Day weekend. And you know what? While you're enjoying that time, think about some of the men and women who have given up their lives for our freedom. That's really what Memorial Day is all about. Anyway, I look around here at the beautiful Ford Ice Center. A lot of people in here. There's a big tournament to my left, with a bunch of hockey kids who are really good. There is some amazing talent in here. And then there is that direction, figure skating going on. So a lot of folks are in here, and we got a good show for you today. The former executive director of the TSSAA, Ronnie Carter, is going to join us. We're going to ask him about Spring Fling, which we have spent a lot of time on this week. Butch Samide from our staff done a great job in covering it. We'll check in later in the hour with Billy Derrick. He's down at the SEC baseball tournament at the Hoover Met in Birmingham. So a lot of spring sports happening, and the groan that you hear, if you open your door, if you're in your house and you open the door and you hear a groan, it's coming from Miami. It's about to happen. Never in NBA history has a team gotten down 3-0 in a playoff series and won. 0-149 is the record for teams that have ever fallen behind 3-0. The Celtics may be about to stop that streak. How crazy would it be that in Boston, this would have happened twice? Red Sox in 2004, when they were down 3-0 to the hated Yankees, and now the Celtics, down 3-0, have gotten within 3-2. Game 6 is tomorrow night in Miami. But I think everybody believes that for all intents and purposes, tomorrow night's Game 7 for Miami. They absolutely cannot have this thing go back to Boston. All of the pressure is suddenly on Miami. And think about that. Think back to Tuesday night. We dogged the crap out of the Celtics. They quit. You can call it what you want. They quit in Game 4, and yet they have gotten themselves off the deck and now are going to force a Game 6 tomorrow night in Miami. David Wilson sporting the Braves gear.
Friday red, George. Got to stick with it.
I like that.
Yes, sir.
So the Braves won last night, but boy, they need some starting pitching.
It wasn't pretty, and the bullpen hasn't been doing them any favors as well. You can tell that the bullpen has been gassed and overused to this point of the season already. So the offense is going to have to carry them through this stretch, ending this homestand with Philadelphia, going on the road to play the A's, a team that you should take care of business against. But still liking that they're in first place, 12 games above 500. Got to love that, George.
Austin Riley hit a pair of home runs last night that totaled right at 900 feet, two absolute bombs. And he's gotten hot at the right time. Man, they needed it.
Who would have thought that maybe Marcell Ozuna would be player of the month for May, though. He's swinging a hot bat for them, hitting in that 7th spot in the order. Like you said, Austin Riley, people have been out to get him a little bit. He hadn't lived up to that contract ever since he signed it. He was hitting like 212 since he signed the contract, now boosting up that average to 276. Several home runs within the last week, George.
I'll take Austin Riley any day of the week. He will be the least of their problems.
Yep, and he plays an amazing third base. That play he made last night to turn that double play to get Dodd out of that 4th inning, I think, was spectacular.
Better third baseman defensively than when he came up. That was not supposedly a strength of his, but it has been.
Yeah, they played him in left field just to get his bat in the lineup. That's when Josh Donaldson was still there. But, there were questions of where the Braves going to re-sign Donaldson that free agency year.
Oh, I remember it well.
A lot of Braves fans wanted Donaldson back.
I did. He's a weird bird.
He played well, though, for the Braves.
He played well for the Braves, but to be honest, the injury things they were worried about, Alex Anthopoulos was right.
Yeah, and they came true with the Twins and the Yankees as well. But, Riley's been great so far. So they love him down there in the clubhouse. He's a Southern guy. He fits in with that clubhouse.
Yeah, he's from just outside of Memphis.
Yeah, Mississippi boy.
Okay, what do we got in the update?
Well, you took the first part, George.
Well, yeah.
NBA playoffs last night.
I knew I would.
Celtics versus the Heat. It was Celtics last night. It really wasn't even close. They jumped out early in the first quarter, 110-97. Celtics with 4 players last night with over 20 points.
I hit this one dead on.
You did. You were money last night, George.
I had
cheers
to him, yeah.
White, Tatum, Smart, and Brown all over 20 points. Jimmy Butler only 14 points last night, George. Only 10
He
shot
didn't
attempts.
look like he was
interested a little bit.
Yeah, he really didn't, and I don't understand that.
He's their best player. And with Gabe Vincent out last night, you figured he'd have to take more of an onus to get his shot off.
Didn't look like it.
Didn't look like it. I saw a weird stat, George. People have said Jimmy Butler's had an amazing playoffs. In this series, though, Jason Tatum has pretty much outscored him, out-rebounded him, more assists, and shot better from the field. So is Jimmy Butler really the best player in this series, or it's still Jason Tatum?
It's probably, the stats say it's Jason Tatum. But here's the thing we got to remember. The Heat going in are not the better team. And yet they're leading 3-2. If they knew at the start that they could clinch in Game 6, they'd have taken it like that. But when they got up 3-0, they needed to close the deal and get Boston out.
Yeah, and Boston, they've said it in the press conferences pregame, don't let us get 1. Don't let us get 2. Now they're going to say, don't let us get 3, because if we're going back to Boston, Game 7 in the Garden is going to be a different story. And Jason Tatum has shown you he likes Game 7 moments in that primetime slot. Game 6 tomorrow night in Miami, 7:30 on ESPN. Boston, a 2.5-point favorite. So they're the favorite on the road in Game 6. George, NHL playoffs last night. The Stars staved off elimination, defeating the Golden Knights in overtime 3-2. Joe Pavelski, a great player, a long career in the NHL. OT game winner last night. Las Vegas still leading that series, though. Going back to Vegas, 3-1 tomorrow night, 7 p.m. puck drop on ABC.
He caught the goaltender going one way and then went right behind him for the game winner. That's what a 38-year-old, veteran of the NHL can do. I still don't think Dallas is going anywhere with this, unlike the Celtics, who I think are. I don't see it.
Yeah.
To me, it's Vegas tomorrow night.
And they'll still be missing Jamie Benn in that Game 5, serving the second game of his 2-game suspension. So they'll have to do it on the road this time, George. To the Hoover Met we go, where Billy Derrick will join us momentarily. SEC tournament update. We got the games yesterday. Alabama beating Auburn in that Game 2. The night games, Arkansas defeating LSU. Arkansas pitcher struck out 17 LSU hitters last night.
The kid that did it, help me, is considered the best pitching prospect on the college level.
Actually, it's the other way around. The dude pitching for LSU.
The LSU kid. Okay.
Paul Skeens, LSU going to be probably the first pitcher taken in the draft.
So the Arkansas kid had 17 Ks?
The 2 pitchers combined had 17 Ks.
Dadgum.
Yeah, Paul Skeens for LSU going to be the first pitcher taken in this summer's draft.
Wow.
3 2/3, 4 hits, 4 runs, only 3 strikeouts. He throws 100 miles per hour. Arkansas got to him a little bit yesterday. Nightcap, Florida defeating Vanderbilt 6-3. Vanderbilt out-hit Florida 10-4, but 3 home runs for Florida was the difference. BT Riopel hit the walk-off yesterday, or excuse me, the day before. 2 home runs last night against Vanderbilt, 5 RBIs. Today, it's going to be elimination, George. LSU versus Texas A&M at 3 o'clock, and then about 30 minutes after game 1, Alabama versus Vanderbilt. And Alabama took 2 out of 3 versus Vanderbilt in the regular season.
Yeah, and yet I saw something earlier where Vandy is still listed as a national seed, meaning that they would host next weekend, and if they were to get through next weekend, they would host a super regional. So maybe there's something on the line, maybe there isn't. It would not be a big shock if Vandy and Florida saw each other in Omaha. They're both good enough.
It would. And I talked to Billy last night. He said he thinks Florida is the best team in the country, depth-wise. They're just pitching and hitting. They do it well. You would think that Vanderbilt would have some pride last night to go out and win that game. Florida has had their number. Kevin O'Sullivan has dominated against Tim Corbin. But we'll see if we'll get that rematch this weekend. To the NFL we go, George. The Cardinals releasing DeAndre Hopkins will be a free agent now.
No surprise. This has been rumored for weeks. So for people who are sitting there trying to conjure up, could the Titans sign him? Well, God knows they could use him. Do they have the capital, the salary capability? I don't think so.
I don't think so either. And he came out with the destination wish list the other day of quarterbacks he wanted to play with. That list includes 5 teams. It's the Bills, the Chiefs, the Eagles, the Ravens, and the Chargers. So you would think he would want to chase the Super Bowl and get a ring and play with the franchise quarterback. Ryan Tannehill and the Titans might not be that destination.
I would think it's one of the first 2, Kansas City or Buffalo.
I would say Kansas.
Wait, hold on. Who'd you give me?
Yeah, Bills, Chiefs.
KC and Buffalo.
Yeah, and then the Eagles, Ravens, and Chargers are on that wish list as well.
Yeah.
Young franchise quarterbacks. Last piece of news.
He's a heck of a player. I know that.
Yes. Last piece of news, George. Iowa 80 Gary Barta to retire. Why is that big? He helped, instrument the college football playoff. Was there Iowa for 17 seasons, second longest tenured AD in the Big Ten.
Well, look, I don't know this guy, never met him, but here's what I see going on. More and more ADs and coaches are looking to get out. They're not having any fun. They're sitting there constantly worried about NIL, about transfer portal. And now because of NIL, a lot of the money that the athletic departments have needed and used in the past, they're all going to the athletes. Somewhere in here in the next 12 to 18 months, somebody's got to figure out something that's some middle ground because it is not working.
It's not. And, like I said, he helped institute the playoff and he's part of the committee. It's expanding in a few years. But like you said, college athletics is not the same as it was years ago. I've wondered why Nick Saban has stuck around so long, been in the coaching landscape for so long, but it's changed now. The way you have to recruit players now has changed. So just wondering when those coaches that have been around a while kind of step away and do something else with their lives. I know the money's good, but step away.
It's not a pretty picture.
That's it, George.
And with each passing week, intercollegiate athletics seems to be losing more and more good people who are just throwing up their hands and saying, I'm done. There are no answers. I can't make this work.
And you've said it before, NIL is a good thing, having the players, be able to make some monetary money from it, but they have to have a cap on it to limit, the quarterback making $5 million. And like you like to say, the center making chicken wings or getting free food. That's it. So the
wingy dingies.
There you go. The disparity between the two.
Okay. After the break, Ronnie Carter, longtime executive director of the TSSAA, retired, I want to say about a decade ago. It's been a while. Ronnie's going to join us. He was part of the group that put together Spring Fling, and I want to learn more about it. So stick around. I think you'll enjoy the interview All of this coming up next from the beautiful Fordyce Center in Bellevue. Year number 2 of the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night was awesome. And the reason is really simple. I chose Strike and Spare, and they were amazing. They have great food, great bowling, and a staff that is truly ready to go the extra mile to help you. They have 5 family fun centers in the area to choose from, and for more info, go to strikeandspare.com or call them at 615-824-5685. Now that the weather has gotten considerably warmer, there's not a better place to spend a morning or an afternoon than Riverside Golf Links. So you've probably noticed the weather has gotten a lot warmer, and that means a couple of things in Nashville. It means baseball, and it really means golf. And for me, it's a visit to Riverside Golf Links. The course has improved dramatically. There are now 27 holes, including a 9-hole executive course. If you want tee times or more information, dial them up at 615-847-5074.
You can't see the sights without the sounds. From the crack of the bat to the roar of the crowd and everything in between, discover what Hit City has to offer. Spend your nights cheering on the Nashville Sounds at First Horizon Park with giveaways, fireworks shows, theme weekends, and more. Single game tickets are on sale now. Visit NashvilleSounds.com to claim your seat today.
The much anticipated grand opening of X Golf is Thursday, June the 1st from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. out in Bellevue, specifically 8137 Sawyer Brown Road at 1 Bellevue Place right down the road from the theater. Now, we'd love to have you join us. Our show will be here live from 2 to 4 p.m. with the ribbon cutting ceremony at 5 p.m. Come on out. Would love to meet you and compare crummy golf games. Well, this is one of the great times of the year in sports. Somebody was telling me right at 4,000 athletes who have descended on Murfreesboro for Spring Fling. And Spring Fling is one of the most successful things that the TSSAA has ever put together. But I honestly do not know all the behind the scenes of how it ever started in the first place. So with that in mind, I was like, heck, let's talk to Ronnie Carter, the former executive director of the TSSAA, and find out what really brought all this into being. So let's say hello to him. Ronnie, how are you?
George, I'm great. Hope you're doing well.
Doing really good. So kind of take us through a little bit of a history lesson. How long ago and what were the circumstances that led to the creation of Spring Fling?
Well, it started in '94, so this is the 30th year. And it's one of those great stories of just timing and everything. And the timing part comes in to think at that time, if we were in the basketball tournament, numerous times people would come up to Gil, when I was an assistant, or to me when I become director, and say, well, y'all don't have anything to do after basketball till next fall. And little did they know that spring was the busiest time of the year that we were in. But we were constantly looking for, how do we make our spring sports bigger and better? Mainly because the most important sport to any set of parents or to any students is the sport they play. So all of them, we just feel that way about it. And when you're working with TSSAA. And then somewhere in the late 80s, early 90s, the OVC, 1 year at Middle, not all of their sports, but a number of their spring sports, they put together in what they had sort of a little OVC type, I guess you would say, spring fling then. When I would be at the basketball tournament, Dean Hayes and I were great friends, and we spent a lot of time talking. And as you well know, anytime there's tournaments, there's dead time in between sessions and games. So I kept picking his brain. And more, he kept telling me about what they had done, why they had done it, to call more attention to their spring sports. And it just sort of it was an idea that we thought would be great. We would bring all 7 of those sports together, boys and girls track, boys and girls tennis, baseball, softball, and our boys soccer, and put them all in at one site. And then we happened that year to be in the wrestling tournament in Chattanooga, and I threw the idea out to Merrill Eckstein, which was the Scott Ramsey of Chattanooga. And at that particular time, Merrill, I could just see him licking his chops and saying, oh, wow, this would be great for a city. So we thought we had something. So that's where it took off. We had three cities the first time to put a bid in for it. That was Nashville and Chattanooga and Clarksville, I believe. And that's how it starts in 94. A lot of people thought we were crazy. I will tell you, George, another thing that's interesting probably to people. At that particular time, we had in the state of Tennessee, in the 4 large cities, we had 2 newspapers, as you well remember. So we had the Banner and the Tennessean and so on with all the 4 cities. And we were able to sell it to them. And what took place then was great coverage for our spring sports by putting them all together. Before, we had not gotten that kind of coverage. When that occurred that year, and you can understand this, the News Free Press in Chattanooga and the Chattanooga Times both staffed the Spring Fling that year. Now, you got to remember, it was only about 4 days, 3 to 4 days, but they staffed it with right at 20 plus photographers and writers. And that, to me, speaks volumes for what happened then. Timing was great. A few years, about 6 years later, we, in another bid and another proposal for it, we went to Memphis, where everybody thought we were going crazy because at the far end of the state, a lot of great stories with that. And then it came to Murfreesboro 3 years after that. So it's been great for the athletic organization and great for those spring sports.
Ronnie, I would think the one thing that you'd be able to gauge from the very beginning was, okay, we're going to be able to get the media coverage because they're all going to realize it's in one central area, and rather than scattering reporters all over the place, they could all descend on this one area.
Oh, no question. And that was big. And so all of a sudden we were getting just great coverage for our sports, which before we really didn't get a lot of coverage for our spring sports because they were very isolated. They were not going on at the same time. Our track would be in Middle Tennessee, generally in the Nashville area. But when that occurred, all of a sudden we have an opportunity to get great coverage. And that was major. There's no question to it. It really also then became a side benefit. We didn't do it for this reason, but a side benefit then, it became big to cities because now all of a sudden it was a great business opportunity. For TSSAA, at that time, all of our spring sports were in the red. And that's true, as you well know, for high schools all over the state. They make a little money in baseball, maybe a little bit here and there in softball, but by and large, all their spring sports are finishing in the red. That was true with TSSAA. And putting on all of those sports and all those championships, when the Spring Fling came, we didn't do it for that reason, but the business aspect was a great part of it too. And so then it became big for us with people coming. It became big for the cities with hosting the events. And I've heard it more than once. MTSU told me years ago that one of the greatest things that brought students to them was the state basketball tournament. I never forgot that because the MTSU campus was the state basketball tournament was the first time many of their enrolling freshmen had been on their campus. So you file those kinds of things away and put them together and realize all those aspects of it. And then, as you and I both know, it was pure timing.
Ronnie, it's an incredible idea, but it's also I would think at times a logistical nightmare, and the level of manpower that you've got to have in all these different sites. Talk to me about some of the early growing pains of all these sites and all the people you need to work them.
Well, it goes without saying. It is obviously a huge challenge, and you've got to have great people in all of those places, not just the coaches that are running the events and all of your administrators, but you've got to have great people doing everything. We had Bill Marbett was a great impact on us because he ran all of our fields. When we went in, we had one of the greatest outfits going, Bill Marbett and his organization, and they run the SEC baseball tournament. So that's enough of an impression on people. And they've been doing it forever when it was in Birmingham. So here's Bill sitting down in Columbia, one of our great people. And we asked him if he would run all of our baseball and softball sites. So when you get that, now you have a little extra. So there's no question we had to have great track people. We had to have great people in tennis. And so you do that, but then you just take whoever in our office is in charge of each of those sports, and all they're worried about is not spring fling. They're just worried about the tennis tournament or the baseball event or whatever. So when you do it like that and everybody just takes care of their little part, the next thing you know, it all comes together. Now, there were also challenges. I'll tell you one quick story. I think the first year we're in Chattanooga, and I get a call after the first night at 5 a.m. the next morning. And you want to think about that a little bit, because obviously we're up late, and it was a friend with one of the newspapers, and he called and he said, "Ronnie, I apologize for calling you, but I thought you'd want to know one of your coaches was kidnapped last night." So that's how we started the first spring fling. How about that start?
Well, now is that story true?
That's a true story. And here's how it happened. Coach, it's late. Coach goes down to the front desk to get a Coke. When he goes down there, someone is robbing the front desk at the hotel.
Oh,
the next thing you know, they kidnap him, take him in the school van that he's in, and go out to a certain place. And then they put him in the back under blankets and everything. And he didn't know what was going to happen. The next thing he knows, he doesn't hear anybody talking, finally looks up and they've left. He gets out, the keys are still in the van, goes back to the hotel. I go the next morning to Baylor, the first place I went, because that's where our tennis tournament was going on, to make sure he's okay. He said, "Oh, Mr. Carter, I'm fine. We're just getting ready to play our first match." So that's probably the most extreme story we ever have.
Wow.
But you have a lot of those kinds of things with an event that big.
Ronnie, when the Sports Council started to evolve here, first under Jenny Hannon, then under Scott Ramsey, volunteers were a huge piece of the story, and they still are. In a spring fling, how important are the volunteers?
Oh, they're huge. They're huge, and you do it both from the organization that's in a city, whether it's Murfreesboro or Nashville, wherever it is. Every place has that. So you do it with them. They're a major part of it. But then you also go back to each of those sites. So one of the ways that we were able to get that, and let's say a local high school site or a local site as we're using during that period of time, is things like this. If we would allow them to have the money from parking. So if parking was $5, that money was going back to school A. And so as a result of that, there was a benefit for them other than just helping. So you just have to wear all of those hats, see it from everybody's perspective. And then the next thing you know, everybody takes great pride in it. And that has happened in every place, including when we were in Memphis, it was that way. Memphis was the only place we ever had what you would call an opening ceremony, and we had almost a parade. Memphis put it on, and it was special. This will tell you, because you know our state, and you'll love this story. Coach from Unaka, which is in the far corner of East Tennessee, came up to me because we had taken a little beating because we were at Memphis, and you know what that means to East Tennessee. And he came up after that opening ceremony and that parade with the teams, and they had lost that afternoon in their first baseball game. And he said, "Mr. Carter, I know you're taking a week or two for bringing it to Memphis and how far we've got to travel." He said, "This is the greatest thing that's ever happened to our school." Now that's Unaka, George, up in the far corner.
Wow.
And when I heard that, that's one I've never forgotten, because he just talked about what a thrill it was for their kids to be in Memphis. And that sounds crazy, and yet if you've been in the sports world, you understand those kind of things.
So tell me this. Oftentimes, events like this, they'll put something out later that says such and such event had an economic impact of X. And you may say, George, I've been out of it too long, I don't really know. But gut feeling, what is the economic impact for Murfreesboro of these 4,000 athletes and parents and grandparents? If you had to guess, what is it?
George, I've been out of it too long, and I really wouldn't know. No. I had to jump on your opening there. It's obviously hard to measure, but it's huge. And I've heard figures, I really would not have a clue other than to know this. When you talk to the people, wherever you hold it, the economic impact is huge. And it's as much, what I found was it was a big, not just the automatic dollar thing. That's a huge part of it. I have not answered your question. But the other part I found was this: it brought people to their town over and over again, not just for the spring fling. And that was told to me many times by the people, whether we were in Murfreesboro, whether we were in Chattanooga, because you assume everybody's been to Chattanooga, but they haven't. And then they don't know what all is going on around the city of Chattanooga. And it helped them in everything that was there. So that's a huge part of hosting state tournaments.
Oh, absolutely. This is so cool.
How'd I do dodging that question?
You dodged it beautifully. I mean, you were in mid-executive director form in dodging that. But I mean, we both know what the answer is, and that is it's huge. Whatever the number is, we both know, when we see it. I know you were down there yesterday. When you see it, it's huge.
Oh yeah. It's huge from the standpoint of restaurants, from the standpoint of hotels. It's, you see that, but it's just big in so many, many ways. And that's what you get from the people that are in Murfreesboro right now, or that are there hosting a lot of events. And Murfreesboro obviously has a great, and the other thing, George, I found was this: the things that Spring Fling really appeals to, in my mind, is this. You don't get necessarily the Nashville's wanting it, because they have a lot of big events coming in, and a lot of things are much bigger. The SEC tournament and everything are all much bigger, let's say, than the TSSAA. But the one thing I've always said is this: the TSSAA events are going to be there every year. They're not going to be there every 5 or 6 years. They're going to be in whatever city hosts them. And so as a result of that, the Chattanoogas and the Murfreesboros, I found were the ones that were impacted the most, and ones that felt it the most, because it came straight to them and was something they could identify with.
You've given me a lot of what I knew you would when we set this up. Some great stories, as well as, how all this played out. Ronnie, have other states almost copied this?
The answer to that, George, is none have. And the reason for most, yes. And the reason is, but let me give you to it in the perspective of Tennessee that everybody could identify with. Now we have 6 classifications in the different sports. When we did it, we had 3 classifications. Now that's enough. But our goal was to make the baseball tournament exactly like the College World Series. And you remember how big the College World Series was back in the 90s.
Oh, yeah.
And as a result of that, we put together, we were bringing 4 teams in, but you have to remember, we were with 3 classes. If we were all of a sudden getting ready to try to put on Spring Fling now, if the organization was with Mark, it would be much tougher because you've got 6 classifications in baseball and in softball and so on. So timing was huge. When a lot of people visited with us about it, and a lot of people thought it was the most brilliant idea they'd ever heard, but it was a little scary also. And it was a little scary for us in 24, I'll tell you.
I'll bet it was. Holy cow. Great stuff, and I knew it would be. Ronnie, thank you for taking the time to share all of this. I thought it was important because, we've had a reporter of ours, Butch Samide, in Murfreesboro all week giving reports, but I really haven't been able to give any of the background, and I knew you'd be the perfect person, and so I thank you a lot for doing this.
Well, I'll leave you with this. All you got to do is talk to someone standing right there in your studio, a young man named David Wilson, because he played in the Spring Fling, and he can give you a little picture of it because it all gets back to personal. The greatest thrill for me is our son Jim happens to have coached baseball at 4 different schools that have played in the state in all 3 Spring Fling sites, and so it's special. There's no question about it.
David, take a bow.
Yeah, I mean, Coach Carter is the best, and Ronnie's the best as well. Just being able to be around them for 4 years. My freshman year was Coach Carter's first year at Good Pasture, so it was special to take him to that state championship game in 2017. We wanted more than anything to get it done for him. We fell a little bit short that year, but playing at Good Pasture, a program of great tradition, playing under a great coach and staff, it changed my life, and I'm thankful for it.
That is very cool. Ronnie, thanks for doing this.
George, always special to be with you and always special to talk. See you, man.
It's a good man
See
right
you, David.
there. Ronnie Carter, I guess you'd call him emeritus at this point. I'll always think of him as the executive director of the TSSAA, and I'm so glad we were able to get him on here. Butch Samide will join us after the break. Then we'll go down to Birmingham and find out what's going on in the SEC baseball tournament. As we go to the break, let's talk the Big Machine Music City Grand Prix. Okay, there are the dates. August the 4th through the 6th. That's a Friday through Sunday. It's 3 days of incredible racing. And I throw up my hands and I say, look, I'm going to tell you the truth. I've never been to a Grand Prix. Some of you probably have not been to one either. But those people who 2 years ago were saying that, who have now been to it, have come away with a totally different tune. And the tune is, almost to a man, people telling me that it's one of the coolest athletic events that they have ever been to. And so I'm dying to go this year. Very excited to see what this is all about. Recently, about 3 weeks ago, tickets were put on sale. You can start out in general admission. You can go all the way up the ladder into some areas that have great amenities. Whatever works for you, those tickets are on sale now. MusicCityGP.com. Again, that's MusicCityGP.com. We're headed to Murfreesboro right after this. If you're looking for a football camp for your son or daughter that stresses the fundamentals and doing things right, let me suggest the Hometown Football Camp. Here's former MTSU quarterback Wes Counts.
The Hometown Football Camp is a youth football camp at Battleground Academy, June 19th through 21st. This is a working skills camp for young football players to learn proper technique and skills to prepare them for the upcoming season. Our coaches have won championships at both high school and college levels and are eager to pass along their knowledge. So if the young football player in your life wants to be successful this fall, send them to the Hometown Football Camp. Register at hometownfootballcamp.com. That's hometownfootballcamp.com.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
For over 35 years, Wilson Bank & Trust has been committed to providing customized banking solutions to help individuals, families, and businesses in Tennessee achieve their goals. As your full-service community bank, we are proud to offer loans with competitive rates, local decision-making, and fast, friendly service from our experienced lenders. No matter where you are on your financial journey, Wilson Bank & Trust is ready to help you take the next step. Visit your nearest Wilson Bank & Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Family owned and operated for more than 2 decades, Alaco Fine Wood Floors is Nashville and Middle Tennessee's choice for premium quality hardwood floors. Since 1995, Jimmy Alaco and his army of employees have embodied the approach of taking pride in one's craft and providing superior customer service, growing from a one-man shop to a team of 23 professionals who share the founder's passion for quality craftsmanship and customer satisfaction. If you are interested in contacting them, you can find their headquarters at 2505 Winford Avenue in Berry Hill, or give them a call at 615-356-0303. Again, that's 615-356-0303, or log on to alacofinewoodfloors.com. Alaco Fine Wood Floors, serving Middle Tennessee's hardwood flooring needs since 1995.
At Baird, we have a different slant on global financial advice. That global capabilities mean nothing without personal attention. We have investor relationships in 35 countries and market expertise in over 40 industry verticals, all to help make the most important investment connections of all, yours. Global financial advice with a client-first approach. It's the shape of things to come. Discover the Baird difference at BairdDifference.com.
So one of those reporters that Ronnie Carter was talking about is Butch Samide. He is out in Murfreesboro, has been all week covering the TSSAA Spring Fling. Butch, I don't know if you know the answer. I'm just going to toss this out here, and if you don't know, feel free to say, I just don't know. I asked Ronnie Carter a few minutes ago, what is the economic impact this year on the event in the Murfreesboro area? Have you heard a number?
I haven't heard a number, but if it does any good, the Chick-fil-A line was going out onto the street. That's about the only update I could give you in terms of the Murfreesboro area. I mean, you just got to think about all the local stores, the restaurants, the hotels even, and all these people are gathered here for weeks. I mean, you have teams from Knoxville, teams from Memphis, and, you have a lot of family members coming in from out of town. So, I definitely have to say this has to be great for the, neighboring areas of Murfreesboro, but I couldn't give you an exact number.
Yeah, now I know that things are a little quieter right now than they were Tuesday and Wednesday because as teams get eliminated, they go home, their fans go home. So what's left? What's going on now?
Okay, so currently you have in soccer, Alcoa is playing Madison Magnet. I give a little bit of a preview. Madison Magnet being undefeated, Alcoa being the Cinderella story of the Class A soccer tournament, soccer bracket. Madison Magnet is up 2-1 early in the second half. You just had a lot of great softball action. Green Hill just beat Daniel Boone 8-7 to take home their state tournament title in Class 4A. And in Class 3A, Lexington just beat McNary Central to force an if necessary game that should be starting here in about 30 minutes. They beat them 9-6, so that will be the last softball game to go. And then I believe last night, Gordonsville beat Eagleville 5-2 for the state title, and Westview beat Forest 13-5 for the state title. Later on today, you will have Upperman and Greenville in the Class 3A baseball state tournament final, and then Hardin Valley beat Collierville yesterday twice, both winning 4-1. And they will have the chance to play Farragut. Those two teams split 4 games this year. So that will be an interesting state tournament final. And then other than that, I'll have to get a score update. But Union County and Milan were tied going into the 7th a little bit earlier.
Milan apparently did not do their TPS report, so they're not in it.
No, not anymore. They got eliminated.
Okay, what else? What other sports are still really having a lot of activity?
I believe there's still some tennis to go. I believe I heard that women's tennis is still going, and I also think that boys tennis is still going. I think it's mostly singles, maybe doubles as well. Track finished up yesterday. All those results are in. And then, like I said, there's a couple more soccer games to go. I think games kind of got pushed back. CPA and NBA ended up going to penalty kicks, NBA winning the state tournament there. That's why Alcoa and Madison Magnet got pushed to today, as well as Valor College Prep in Greenville will be after Alcoa Madison Magnet. But yeah, everything is just kind of winding down. Nothing left but some state final games in pretty much every sport.
So the thing that's obvious, I mean, in years where, you know, you've got a cold front and you've got rain constantly, this piece of it can become a nightmare. They have not had to deal with that really to any great extent this week, Butch, and that's helped them to get all this done by the start of the weekend.
Absolutely. And I was talking with some other people in the media room yesterday. Today, there's some weird Wi-Fi issues, and so there's not many people hanging around there today. But yesterday, a lot of people were saying how lucky they were because last year there was a bunch of rain. They ended up having to push games all the way back to Sunday. And then that was really unfortunate because, you know, that just eliminates some of the fan presence that's able to be there, you know, and then you're starting to get into a lot of schools' graduations. There's a lot of graduation weekend things happening right before Memorial Day. So, yeah, everyone's super thankful this year. The weather today is outstanding. You know, you can't ask for much of a better day. You know, sunny, everything's feeling great, not too hot. Yeah, everyone's just so happy that after last year, which was kind of the week of nightmares, rain all week, trying to force in these games whenever they could. And now it's just kind of a blessing for everyone to just be able to take a deep breath, not have to worry about checking the weather report. When was the last lightning strike? Is there a delay? You know, there's been none of that so far this year.
Yeah, I know about those lightning strikes. We stay out of those as much as we can. Butch, we'll get one last report from you around 3:25 this afternoon. Thank you for what has been a great week of info.
Yeah, of course. Thank you, George.
Butch Samide reporting from the Spring Fling in Murfreesboro. Let's now head to Birmingham, Alabama, and specifically the Hoover Met. They're about 5 minutes away from the Friday card, which has a couple of games. Billy Derrick down in the right field corner to join us and talk about it. Billy, yeah, let's take a look at the Hoover Met. Beautiful stadium. refurbished here in the last, I want to say, 5 or 6 years. And you're down in that right field corner area.
Yep.
And tell me about what we're getting today. I know Vandy plays the late game. Let's start with what's about 5-10 minutes away.
Yeah, George, we got LSU and Texas A&M coming up in an elimination game. LSU yesterday in the first game of the second session lost a tough one to Arkansas, and Arkansas looked really good. Hagen Smith outpitched Paul Skeens in that one yesterday, which was pretty surprising. Paul Skeens is a guy that, as I said yesterday, he's going to go top 2 in the draft, and it's not like he looked bad, but Arkansas came to play, and it's a situation where for LSU you got to win today to get to Saturday in the semifinals. So, George, for the LSU Tigers, they're gonna go with Ty Floyd. He's been their day 2 starter most of this season. So, it should be a good atmosphere today. LSU fans are still around. The sun is out. It's been perfect weather. The weather's been beautiful most of the time this week, other than that first day on Tuesday. But it's just a beautiful day here, and we should have another good day for baseball today.
Billy, in your mind, do either one of these teams, other than Pride, have anything seeding-wise that they're playing for?
I don't think so necessarily. I mean, for LSU, they're going to be a top 8 national seed. Arkansas is going to be a top 8 national seed as well. Texas A&M is a team that is in the tournament. And for the Aggies, I think if they win today, George, I don't know that they could host. But I've seen right now they've been projected as a 2 seed and maybe a 3 seed in some other sites. So for Texas A&M, if they win today, they could cement themselves as a firm 2 seed. But if they lose, I don't know how much hurt that would do for them. Their hosting chances are wrapped up. They're not going to host. But I think they could firmly put themselves on the 2 line with a win over LSU. And for LSU, it's kind of like Vanderbilt yesterday. There's not really an added benefit whether you win or lose today. But if you do win, I think that gives the team confidence, and it might give the committee, more of a sign of, okay, this team has some pitching depth, and, they can stand up in the postseason.
Billy, on Vandy's front, clearly Florida has given them all kinds of trouble. Swept them in Gainesville, beat them last night in what was, for 6 innings, a really tough, tight ball game. In your mind, what's the difference between Vandy and Florida?
It's power hitting, George. I mean, Florida has 6 or 7 guys that hit over 300. You saw last night, BT Riopel hit 2 home runs. The first one was on, I think, an 86-mile-an-hour fastball from David Horn, the Vanderbilt pitcher, and he just golfed it into the right field. And then late in the game, the grand slam, that was the ball game. I mean, he mashes the grand slam over the left field wall, opposite field. I mean, he has put himself in position to play in the big leagues one day. I mean, he has been raking. So the biggest difference to me, George, is the power hitting aspect of Florida. I mean, the pitching is pretty even, right? I mean, you look at Vanderbilt's staff, that's one of the best staffs in the country. For Florida, they've got one of the best staffs in the country as well. But it's an offensive game, and Florida is hitting better than Vanderbilt. I mean, it's that simple. And so for Florida, they know that if they get 5 runs in a game, they're probably going to win because they've been pitching really well. For Vanderbilt, they're going to have to score more because, but they haven't been able to do that, right? Vanderbilt has not been able to string together runs. And you saw last night, George, they had bases loaded late in the game and an opportunity to put some runs across, and they ended up striking out. So Vanderbilt has left too many runners on base. And, I don't know that they – aren't an Omaha team because they don't have enough power, but it's certainly a concern because it's an offensive game nowadays, and Florida is up there with the best of them in terms of power. So up and down the lineup, George, they've got big bats that can hit it out of the ballpark, whenever they need it, and they've been coming up with some big swings.
Billy, the weird part of that, though, is that when they get to the College World Series, they might as well be playing in the Grand Canyon. And so some of that power gets neutralized when they get to Omaha. Let's go to Alabama for just a second. They clearly will have a big home crowd tonight. What's at stake for them in this?
For Alabama, they're going to host, right? They're going to be a top 16 seed. I think they locked that down, with some of their early results in the tournament. And, for them, they don't have a shot at a national seed. But for them, George, I think if they win today, that over Vanderbilt later tonight, that tells the committee, okay, this is a lock top 16 national seed. But again, as I said yesterday, it's such a logjam with the host teams right now in the top 16 that you really never know. I mean, I'd like to think Alabama is a host, but again, there's so many teams jockeying for position in the top 16 seeds that would love to host, and you never know. So, but George, I don't think there's a ton at stake this late in the tournament for Alabama. I think they're as close to a lock to host a regional as you can get. And, as I said, it's been awesome to see them. I mean, their fans have shown out. They've played really well. They lost a tough one to Florida a couple days ago. And then, of course, yesterday they were able to beat Auburn in what was a great atmosphere as well. So, George, the best thing Alabama can do is keep winning and keep proving the committee that they're a top 16 national seed. But, man, it's been a fun story to watch this Alabama team and, their group rally around their head coach. So it's going to be fun to see them in a regional and hosting a regional for the first time in a long time.
Billy, thank you. We'll check back in with you around 3:30 for an update on game number 1. Enjoy the great weather. We'll talk to you again in a little while.
Sounds good, George. See you later.
Billy Derrick reporting live from the Hoover Met down in Birmingham, which again this year is playing host to the SEC baseball tournament. After the break, we'll get stat of the day and then Coach Herm Edwards. And you know what? We're going to hit him with something that has nothing to do with football, but I'll guarantee you he'll have a really good answer. Stick around. We've got plenty more coming up. Forget the fact that Sir Speedy Music City is owned by my BGA classmate James Warren. Their work stands on its own merit. James and his staff do incredible work, as evidenced by the huge banners at the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. If you're looking for quality to help your marketing and business communications, and you want it at a reasonable price, these are your folks. Call them at 615-832-9511 or go to print at sirspeedymusiccity.com. And be sure to tell them Plaz sent you.
Hey, thank you for meeting with me today. The insurance company has made an offer.
Already? Wow.
They've offered you the entire policy.
Thank you, Blair.
You're so welcome.
This is my buddy and former Nashville Sounds PA announcer Eric Berner. I always laughed in the old days at Greer Stadium when I would walk in, Eric would immediately play my favorite song, Van Halen's Jump. But then I learned he actually has a real job with Rockcastle Wealth Advisors.
Yeah, George, that's what I do. I help people in the pursuit of making their money live as long as they do. Everybody's situation is different, so I use a customized and individualized, personalized approach to the person I'm working with. Old 401ks, retirement planning, insurance planning, inheritance planning. Those are things that people like to get some more information about.
One of the things I find is people don't even know where to start, and that's where you come in.
Yeah, so I can usually help people with an initial phone call or meeting that is a no charge and no obligation.
And I'll bet you have a phone number and a website.
I do, George. They can call me at 615-235-1058 or rockcastlewealth.com or Eric at rockcastlewealth.com.
Hello, this is Celeste Middleton, a State Farm agent in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. I want to help my neighbors and local businesses be proactive and assess their risk before something unexpected happens. We want you to have a thorough understanding of your coverages to have the best protection when you need it. We can create a personal price plan for you. Our team has over 70 years of experience helping people in Middle Tennessee. We have an awesome team with integrity and provide honest and prompt communication. And we love what we do and genuinely care about everyone we work with at our office. Give us a call at 615-895-2700. Send us a message at celestemiddleton.com or walk in at our office at 803 North Thompson Lane in Murfreesboro. We would love to earn your business.
Welcome to John English Antique Sports and Cards, located at 204 East Depot Street in beautiful downtown Shelbyville, Tennessee. Their phone number is area code 931-492-4304. John, obviously, I've been blown away by what I've seen at your place. I've now been there 3 times. But for the person who's never been, what should they expect?
Well, we have a 3,000 square foot store, George. Half of it is vintage cards in all sports, and then half of the store is, a lot of people call it the museum, where there's a lot of early equipment and just the history of sports in general: baseball, football, basketball, golf, tennis, and other items.
When somebody comes in there that you know is a big sports fan, what is their normal reaction?
Well, I think that they're pleasantly surprised, and of course, being in Shelbyville, Tennessee, which is a small town that you would never expect a shop like we have to be in. So they're kind of, I don't want to say blown away, but as I said, pleasantly surprised.
Welcome back in. It is time for Saturday, presented to you by John English Antique Sports and Cards, located in Shelbyville, Tennessee. 204 East Depot Street is where you can find them. They're open during the week, Tuesday through Friday from noon to 5, and on Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. So give them a call at 931-492-4304. And George is going to have to ride solo today. No Billy, no Kelly to help, but I'm going to take it easy on him today. At least I think.
Yeah, but you know what? I may, if I get nowhere,
you're going to call
I
in
got
Herm?
the, oh, you darn tootin' I would.
Let's go ahead and bring him in here.
Yeah. Herm, how you doing?
Good afternoon, man. It's going to be one of these trick questions. He's got all these questions.
Let's just see where he goes with it.
Here we go. Christopher Morel of the Chicago Cubs has homered in 5 consecutive games, or he did homer in 5 consecutive games from May 17th through 23rd. Can you name the last Chicago Cub to homer in 5 consecutive games?
Oh, my goodness. Herm, I got some weird answers, some possibilities. Dave Kingman was once a Cub. And that's a crazy answer because he was either strikeout or homer, no middle ground. Andre Dawson was
there you go.
Cub.
That's the one. That's the one that I would go with. Andre Dawson.
Let's just do it. Let's just go right to the Hawk. Best right field throwing arm going. Andre Dawson.
I don't have the buzzer for you, but the correct answer is Sammy Sosa.
Oh. We should have gotten that.
Sammy Sosa.
We should have gotten that.
Yeah, you're right. I forgot about Sammy Sosa.
But you know what?
He struck out a lot too, didn't he?
Oh, yeah.
If I recall, right? Didn't he strike out a lot?
Yeah, and the sad story is that the Cubs have sort of made him persona non grata.
Yeah.
After all of the stuff about the steroids and his has been a quieter one than Barry Bonds, but he's bitter about it, and it's just kind of a sad ending.
Yeah, it is, because he was a great player.
Okay, I think you heard that I was going to go away from football at the very start, but I got a feeling you're going to have a great answer. So the Lakers go out in 4. There had been a suspicion during the series that LeBron was hurting.
Yes.
And we find out afterwards hurting more than even we realized. He threw everybody a little bit of a curveball in the press conference after the 4th game where he brought up retirement possibilities. And we had, up till then, all we'd ever heard was that he wanted to play with his son in a couple of years. if that could end up happening. So if you're Darwin Ham, you're the coach of the Lakers, you want him back. They know, he knows the Lakers want him back. If you're the coach and you've got this incredible star that's considering this, do you back away and do nothing? Or do you ever pick up the phone and say, hey, do you want to talk?
Oh, I'm going to pick up the phone. First of all, when he said it, I think what you're going to do, for me, what I would do, I'd give him a day or two, give him a call, say, man, when we could go out for lunch. Let's go to lunch and chop it up and let me know how you're feeling. And I would tell him quite honestly, that's between me and you. And hopefully that's that's why you need relationships in sports, especially with your star players. You take the coaching hat off. You say, I'm taking the coaching hat off now. We're boys. We're just chopping it up. Let me know where you're at, and let him know where he's at in his life, how you really feel. Because you mentioned a lot of things. He wanted to play with his son. It's interesting. He wants to play with his son, but no one's asking his son, do you want to play with your dad? Can you imagine the pressure on him?
Ooh, yeah.
Playing with your dad?
Yeah.
I mean, it all sounds good. This is not a pickup game. This would be a professional basketball. You'd be in a professional basketball. And then all of a sudden your dad's on your way trips with you. It's like, come on, man. I mean, so, now maybe he wants to play with his dad. That's a lot of pressure when your dad's LeBron James.
The one that worked out the best, and really the only other one I can think of, was when Ken Griffey Sr. and Jr. played together in Seattle, and there didn't appear to be any real problems. And what I remember was Sr. just said, Jr. doesn't need my help. He's plenty good enough.
Yeah, he stayed out the way. It'll be interesting to see how good LeBron James' son really is, right? He's at SC. He's going to be in the Pac-12. I mean, it'll be interesting. Is he it's your number one pick? I don't know. We'll see.
Well, you're bringing up a really interesting point that I hadn't thought about. I can remember growing up in the broadcast business, and when I would speak to a civic club and my dad would find out from somebody and show up, it unnerved me. Now, that doesn't mean that I didn't appreciate that dad cared, but it did sort of mess me up a little bit.
Well, I think, you say that. Just think about in sports, when your father is an icon, he's the face of the NBA. I mean, that's a hard follow. You know what I'm saying? I mean, look, being a pro athlete, coach, you have a son at any level, it doesn't matter, all that I saw that when my son started playing football, the expectations people had of him. And I told him up front, I said, look, I'm never going to coach you. I'm not going to coach you. I'm going to be the parent. I'm going to sit in the last row, and I'm just going to watch you. And I want you to have fun. And if you ask me a question, I'll give you information. But I wasn't one of them dads, hey, you need to do, no. You need to go do this. His coach was John Lynch, basically. That was
pretty
his
good coach.
Yeah, I said, John, you got to deal with him. That's your godson, because he won't listen to me, and I don't want to talk to him anyway. I just want to be dad. Right?
Herm, there's the theory that oftentimes when you get a player in a press conference 10 minutes after, a tough loss or a tough series, that you really should not put a lot of stock in what they say at that point. When you watched LeBron, what did you think?
Boy, LeBron is calculated, right? I mean, look, he's been in every press conference you could imagine. He didn't go in there. Look, they didn't even ask him that question. He kind of worked his way to give him an answer. Here's what it is. All of a sudden, the Denver Nuggets, which is a good team, no one talks about the Denver Nuggets for the next 3 days. They won, by the way. They're talking about LeBron and the Lakers.
This just in. Denver won the series.
They won. And they should have. They were the better team. They were actually the better team. And it's okay, right? Lakers had a good year, okay? But LeBron changed he changed the whole storyline, right? And I think he's calculated, he sent a message to the Lakers organization. I can't do this by myself. Anthony Davis, good player. He can't carry the load. He can't carry the water all the time. First of all, he's only going to play 50 games a year. He can't play the whole schedule.
Right.
He's proven that. LeBron James can't either anymore, by the way. Right? You saw a guy that was 38 years old, and at the end of those games, even the series with the Warriors, going into the fourth quarter, he was tired. That series wore him out. And every game when they played against Denver, the middle of the third, fourth quarter, his legs were dead. That's what happens.
I want to go one more that's not football.
Sure.
But you always give such great answers to this kind of stuff. So 4 days ago, nationally, we were all calling the Celtics a bunch of quitters. And they looked like they quit in game 4. They looked like they just threw the white flag up and said, screw it, we're out of here. So now all of a sudden they've won a couple of games, and there is real pressure on Miami that they have got to win tomorrow night. The last thing in the world they want is to go to Boston Garden for Game 7 on Memorial Day to have to try to salvage after being up 3-0. Eric Spoelstra, to my way of thinking, is one of the best coaches and maybe the most underrated in the NBA. So he knows, in spite of what he said after last night, that his team is going to feel a lot of pressure tomorrow night going into that game. If you're the coach, how do you relieve that pressure?
Well, I just think for Eric Spoelstra, and I agree, I think for him to not be a coach of the year at some point in his career, it's almost funny. Outstanding basketball coach, outstanding mind, understands his team. I think he's the kind of guy where, because of his makeup and what he's gone through and as many games he's coached in, he's got a good idea how his team is going to react. They're not panicking by any stretch of imagination. Look, they know this. We got to win one game. Whether it's at home or in Boston, we have to win one game. We set ourselves up, and now we got to win a game. And I think that is going to be the mindset of that team. Boston, it'll be interesting now. You know, they got going. They're really good when they hit three-pointers. But I thought what they did in this series to change the series, they played defense early, and that got them going. They played defense. And that got the flow going. They got some steals early in the game, hit some three-pointers, got an early lead. And I tell you what, you knew after the first quarter, Miami got no shot at this one. They just didn't. It was done. It was done. I mean, and here again, it's funny because Boston is the better team. They're just better.
Yep.
I mean, Miami has done a great job. And I'm not saying they can't win it. All I got to do is win one game. But you'd be surprised how hard it is just to win that one.
Oh.
Boy.
And I'll feel for Jimmy Butler if it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Because what can one human being do to guide his team to victory that poor guy hasn't already done?
Yeah. I mean, look where Miami's at. Look what they've accomplished already. No one's even, I mean, people didn't think they'd be here.
They lost their opening play-in game to the Atlanta Hawks, for God's sakes.
Yeah.
And they were losing the elimination game with 3 minutes left.
They
but
sure
see, and
were.
that's what we talked about this before about a month ago or so. I said the hardest, the equalizer in basketball is the three-point shot.
Okay, now, last I checked, you were a football coach.
Yeah.
At one point, so I'm actually going to ask you a football question.
Okay.
What a novel concept. So, why did it take the NFL so long, way years late, in putting together this third quarterback rule that they have instituted this week? Herm, this is a day late and about 80 million short.
Oh, this is 10 years behind, maybe 20 years behind. This is what's even worse than that. And I've said this every year. You have a 48-man roster, basically for game day, but you pay the full salary of 53 players. And you don't dress them. Think about that. You don't dress them. And now you're going to get these Thursday night games late, and I understand why. And look, the NFL's used to playing Thursday night games. I get it. But late week 13 through 17, you got beat up teams. And if you're truly trying to protect the players' health, why not on Thursday night games? Because it's a short week for everybody, basically. Activate the whole roster by both teams. I mean, why wouldn't you just do that? That's simple. I mean, think about that. They pay 50 plus players full salary, and then game day, they dress 48 guys. They're not even hurt.
So why don't they?
The competition committee said, they'll have an advantage. They'll have another quarterback they can use that can run the option or whatever. Who cares? It doesn't matter. You only play with 11 players. It's not like you get to play with 12. You play with 11. We don't care what the other team does. But it's amazing to me. But at least they're getting smart now because of what happened to San Francisco. They saw it, and, playoff game, and all of a sudden they're going to have to play with a McCaffrey at quarterback all of a sudden, right? And it's bad football. So at least the quarterback's alive. I would dress them all on Thursday night. I dress them all.
So, Herm, let me take the thing about the Thursday night games, because clearly those are not in players' safety's best interest. Thursday night in general is not.
Players don't like it.
So it seems to me at some point the players' union is either going to have to buck up to this or just accept it for a certain amount of money and just say, we got the money.
Well, that's what it is. And look, and I understand what the league's doing. The league doesn't want to put, all of a sudden you have two teams that are going to play on a Thursday night and they're not winning, they're not playoff teams. They don't want to do that. Look, the NFL's about building the brand. Look, football is hot. Number one sport that everybody's going to watch. They want good games all the way through the season, especially primetime games. And when you can flex the schedule, which they have the right to do, we get all that. That's part of the deal. And the players know it. We all know it. But at the end of the day, if you're truly trying to protect the players, and they know Thursday night's a short week for everybody, just dress them all. I mean, they're going to play the game. There's no way they're not going to play Thursday night games, guys. Look, NFL plays on Monday night. They play Sunday night. They play Sunday. They play Thursday night. 4 days out of the week, you get a football game from the NFL. Think about that. Think about that, right? And then Saturday is college football.
We like football.
That's 5 days of football, and high school's Friday night. That's it. I mean, come on. Only time Tuesdays and Wednesdays are still open.
Oh, don't kid yourself. There will be. You just give it time.
Oh,
so let me ask about one specific player that we have talked about here. Malik Willis. I saw him a lot at Liberty. Mm-hmm. He's a young guy that has great athleticism. And It appears to me his biggest strength is when a play breaks down and all of a sudden he can improvise. But Vrabel really got on him last preseason about it, saying you got to stay in the pocket, you got to learn the progressions. But Herm, when do you as a coach say, wait a minute, all that sounds great, but for this kid, you just got to turn him loose?
Well, you got to be willing to massage your offense. In other words, okay, look, but see, they rely so much on the running game and the play action that they want the ball out. They want you to stay on the script. And when you get off script, it just drives the coordinator crazy. So they got to decide, look, if this is our quarterback, then we better do some things that he can do well and that we can move the football. Because at the end of the day, the quarterback is the guy. And you have to be able to, your offense has to be flexible enough to understand that this guy does these things. We got to add some things to that, to our offense, right? But that's the rub. That's why you see a lot of quarterbacks fail In the modern day, a lot of quarterbacks used to fail because they wouldn't sit in the pocket. What we see now, hey, that's changed. College football is in pro football now, right? I mean, really. I mean, a lot of them spread out, one back. I mean, there are two. They want to run the ball. They want to pound the ball. Not saying you can't do that, but you got to have some plays in there for that quarterback so he can get a flow of the game as well.
Okay, last thing. Has anybody at the Worldwide Leader ever said to you, Herm, you are fun to interview?
Yes. Numerous times. Numerous times, yes.
Then I want to join that group.
Okay.
You didn't know where.
We've only known each other for at least 20 years, but thank you very much. I appreciate that.
You are so much fun to interview because I can take things in so many different directions, and you always have great stuff, and I appreciate that. I really do.
Well, I think this, and I think we both know this is why people tune into your show. You are an information provider. You understand how important that is to the fan base that tunes in. You know, in sports like life, it's all about gathering information, and everyone has an opinion. But I just think, you know, when you can give people information from a different source, they can decide, you know, okay, I can take this information, I can build a puzzle now, right? And that information is powerful, right? And so that's what I consider myself. I'm an information provider.
And you play to win the game.
Oh boy, tell you what. like they say, that's why they keep score.
Absolutely.
There's a reason they keep score.
There's a reason there's scoreboards out there. Hey, have a great Memorial Day weekend, you and your family.
You too, my friend. Be safe.
You take care, Herm.
Thank you.
He is the best. I have said it for years. Never had more fun dealing with anybody that we would bring on that, you know, was not in your city. He's just a blast to talk to. So is Butch Samide. He will rejoin us in just a couple of moments from Spring Fling in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. Year number 2 of the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night was awesome. And the reason is really simple. I chose Strike and Spare, and they were amazing. They have great food, great bowling, and a staff that is truly ready to go the extra mile to help you. They have 5 family fun centers in the area to choose from, and for more info, go to strikeandspare.com or call them at 615-824-5685.
How am I going to get to work? My car's totaled.
Skylar, our team is making a call right now. We'll get you a rental car. Don't worry.
That's a relief.
Call us 24/7. We're here. We're going to help.
Now that the weather has gotten considerably warmer, there's not a better place to spend a morning or an afternoon than Riverside Golf Links. So you've probably noticed the weather has gotten a lot warmer, and that means a couple of things in Nashville. It means baseball, and it really means golf. And for me, it's a visit to Riverside Golf Links. The course has improved dramatically. There are now 27 holes, including a 9-hole executive course. If you want tee times or more information, dial them up at 615-847-5074.
You can't see the sights without the sounds. From the crack of the bat to the roar of the crowd and everything in between. Discover what Hit City has to offer. Single game tickets are on sale now.
Hello, this is Celeste Middleton, a State Farm agent in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. I want to help my neighbors and local businesses be proactive and assess their risk before something unexpected happens. We want you to have a thorough understanding of your coverages to have the best protection when you need it. We can create a personal price plan for you. Our team has over 70 years of experience helping people in Middle Tennessee. We have an awesome team with integrity and provide honest and prompt communication, and we love what we do and genuinely care about everyone we work with at our office. Give us a call at 615-895-2700, send us a message at celestemiddleton.com, or walk in at our office at 803 North Thompson Lane in Murfreesboro. We would love to earn your business.
We're back. Let's get our final Spring Fling report for 2023. Butch Samide from our staff has done a really good job this week with all of the information. One last report from him. What do you got?
Well, in baseball, the one game going on right now, Union County scored 6 in the top of the 8th against Milan. Once again, Milan got eliminated earlier in the tournament. After that game, it will be Upperman versus Greenville and Hardin Valley against Farragut. And softball, McNary Central and Lexington is the last game of Spring Fling. They just started. They're at the bottom of the first, 0-0 right now. And then in soccer, Alcoa just tied Madison Magnet just a couple minutes ago to make it 2-2 in the 80th minute, very late in the second half. That one might also go to penalties like we saw with CPA and NBA last night. And then after that game, we will have Valor College Prep against Greenville, and then that will be the last soccer game of Spring Fling.
Okay, so that's one of the big sports that goes on. Is tennis kind of the last thing that still has some juice left?
Actually, the doubles just recently ended. All those results are in as well. The guy that we highlighted on Monday, Ron J. Arule, yesterday completed his three-peat in Class AA singles and just went back-to-back, winning the state title last year and then finishing it today in the doubles on the men's side of the Class AA doubles tournament. So congratulations to him. I know I certainly did not win 5 state titles when I was in high school. But all the tennis is in. I believe it went team rankings much earlier in the week and then singles, and then today finishing with doubles.
Butch, what else do you know about this young guy?
Well, I mean, he's really good at tennis. I mean, he's I think that it used to also be a kind of a weird system. There was Division II, Class A, Class AA, which is, the private school region. But then in 2020, 2021, it was just the large class bracket. And that kind of put together all the public school teams. Like you saw Ravenwood beat Ron J. Arule and his partner. That would have been his sophomore year. And so just, those two teams wouldn't have met. And maybe that was just, because of COVID, they switched it up a little bit. But ever since that, going back to last year, they put it back to Class A, Class AA, and then, of course, Division 2A, Division 2 AA. So a little bit of a weird format might have been the reason why he lost. Probably if you asked him, he would have said that, he should have played better. Him and his partner could have won that fair and square. But, it still goes to say, a little bit strange of a setup there and maybe keeping him from three-peating in both singles and doubles.
So I'm guessing every school this side of Cuba is recruiting him. Do we know where he's going?
I do not. I can look up quickly to see if he is committed anywhere. Let's see. It does not look like he's currently committed to play anywhere. He's actually also not ranked, which is shocking. I don't know how you can almost win every state title there is to win.
What else does the kid have to do? Sell programs? What do we got there?
I think Collierville might not be the best all-around tennis program. It's actually funny when you look at the team rankings. Collierville has not won the team state title since Ron J has been there. So maybe it's just a little bit of an under-recruited area. that Collierville has. But, I can't believe that he's not ranked, looking as, he didn't drop a set to any of the singles opponents he faced. So he swept the competition quite literally from the first round to the state final. I don't know what schools are looking for. I don't know who's better than him.
Yeah. Okay. Leave me this at the end. This is sort of the first time we've sent you out for a bunch of reporting. For those who don't know it, Butch is a student at Florida State University. He also has dressed up in that Superman thing and gotten himself a ton of national TV pub. You need to put something on BGA, kind of like that, when you're going to do that Superman thing. So have you had fun at this?
Oh, it's been a lot of fun just seeing. I remember back when I was at BGA, I was actually the first president of the student section back then. They changed that title pretty much because I was going to every game. There's probably clips and videos of me. The girls volleyball team, indoor volleyball team, went to the state Final Four. And in order to dress up for that one, I didn't have a Superman suit, but I did have a Grinch onesie. And it was kind of like we were doing a Christmas out best we can to try to support them. They didn't win it that year. They actually won state, I believe, the last 2 years. So I'll take the slightest bit of credit for that. But I love the high school sporting atmosphere. I think it's Lexington here at softball that's bringing out the horns to every game. There's just a lot of camaraderie. It's very fun. I've seen nothing but great sportsmanship. Honestly, I think the worst sports have been parents and grandparents of the players playing. But from everything that I've seen on the field, it's been awesome to watch, and this has been a great experience.
Butch, great job. Enjoy the Memorial Day weekend. We'll talk to you early next week.
Thank you. You too, George.
Butch Samide reporting from the Spring Fling Championships for the TSSAA in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. Now, a little south of there, down in Birmingham, the SEC baseball championships are going on. Billy Derrick is down there in the right field corner. Nice picture of your hand. What's going on in game one today?
Well, George, LSU has just taken a 1-0 lead on Texas A&M. As we speak here in the top of the second. Braden Jobert had an RBI single, so LSU leads Texas A&M 1-0 on a beautiful day here in Hoover. A lot of LSU fans, they're making some noise. There was a pretty bad call that was just made at second base after a tag up from first to second on a fly ball. And they just stole second as we speak as well. So LSU is in business right now. They lead 1-0 with runners at second and third with 2 outs here in the top of the second. So the LSU fans are boisterous as usual here in Hoover.
And LSU travels well.
Yes, they do. They've been everywhere here in Hoover. Everywhere you look, you see either a yellow shirt or a purple shirt. And, last year, George, I was here in Hoover, and there weren't as many LSU fans as there were this year. Obviously, they weren't as good as they are this year. But when they've got a winner to root for, there's not a better fan base in all of college athletics.
Oh, listen, I can totally vouch for it. I've done 2 games at Tiger Stadium, and I'll tell you that when you put all of the SEC schools at their very best football environment, there is nothing better than Tiger Stadium at night in Baton Rouge. So I'll totally second that. Hey, tell me this last thing. Who does Vandy start tonight against Alabama? Who's the starting pitcher?
That's a good question. Devin Futrell has been their Game 3 guy all season. And, of course, this is Game 3 of the tournament coming up tonight for Vanderbilt. And, my gut tells me they go with Devin Futrell. But, again, you never know. I mean, Vanderbilt hasn't announced it yet. Maybe they go another bullpen game like they did against Auburn. But, again, Devin Futrell is a guy that hasn't pitched in over a week, right? So, he's ready to go. But, again, it's going to be interesting to see the approach from Tim Corbin and Vanderbilt. Do they send Futrell on the mound, and how long is he out there? Yesterday, Hunter Owen only went for about 50, 60 pitches or so, and I think they took him out in the fourth inning. So, it'll be interesting to see what Vanderbilt does tonight. My gut tells me Devin Futrell will go, and he's been really good. He's 6-3 on the season with a sub-4 ERA, and he's given up some home runs, but you're playing in Hoover, and a lot of the home runs at other parks won't be home runs anymore. So my gut tells me Devin Futrell, George, but again, tonight for Vanderbilt, it's another opportunity, and they need to take advantage of it. And number one, to provide confidence heading into the regional, but also they're going to be favored tonight to beat Alabama. There's going to be a lot of Alabama fans in the Hoover Met, of course, as you know. So it'll be interesting. My prediction is Devin Futrell, though.
Hey, Billy, while all of this is going on in Birmingham at the Hoover Met, the SEC ADs met earlier this week. Anything coming out about football scheduling? Have you heard anything, or is this simply going to get announced when we get to SEC football media days here in the middle of July?
I think that's when we're going to get it, George. I mean, I've heard a lot of talk, even down here, from a lot of fans. A lot of football fans down here as well. I've a lot of Twitter circulation about the 9-game conference schedule. Will it be 8? I've heard some rumors about maybe an 8-game conference schedule. I think most teams would rather have a 9-game conference schedule. We've talked about it with Kelly many times. And so other than that, not really. I haven't heard a ton. But yeah, my gut would tell me that SEC media days, anytime that week, probably early in the week, as you know, George, they like to get a headline out early and have everybody talking about it the rest of the week. So that my suspicion is that there will be a 9-game conference schedule for SEC football, and I think all fans would love that, and players and coaches, I think that's what they want as well. So yeah, I think SEC media days is when they will most likely announce that. But it has been interesting to hear some of the rumors around here at tailgates and people talking, and I think most of them would rather have a 9-game conference schedule. More SEC games is better for everybody.
I will respectfully disagree. I don't believe for a minute that 3/4 of the coaches in the league want to go to 9 conference games. But we'll see how it all works out. Billy, good stuff down there. Get Vandy a win tonight, and thank you for the updates.
Will do. Thanks, George. Take it easy.
Billy Derrick reporting live from the SEC baseball tournament down in Hoover, Alabama. Check this out. Apparently, the A's have wasted no time. As you know, they have been in absolute just moving at the speed of sound to get out of Oakland and get to Vegas. This has been an issue as long as I've been a sports talk show host. The Oakland Coliseum has been a problem for 30 years. And now, all of a sudden, in the last 2 weeks, the A's, it sure looks like, are moving to Vegas. Earlier today, they put out renderings of their new stadium in Vegas. This is what they say it will end up looking like. Let's sort of show you this. Now, here is the interesting piece of this. According to this rendering and the info that goes on around it, this is a stadium that would seat only 30,000. Let me say this. The trend has been at lower numbers. For instance, the Braves at Turner Field right at 50,000. When they moved to Truist Park, more like 41,000, although they shoehorned 43,000 last night. If indeed the A's in Vegas are going to a capacity of 30,000, they will live to regret that. That ballpark needs to be bigger than that. Vegas can do better than that. I think 30 is about 8,000 too small. Just one person's opinion, beautiful drawing, beautiful, whatever. But 30,000, that's a little small.
You would think, with Vegas being what it is, that they would want to draw more, and a lot of people would come opening weekend to see them play for that new stadium.
Well, also just tourism. I mean, it's
exactly
a little bit like Nashville. I mean, it's a city that is Well, I mean, Vegas is based on tourism. They better be careful. 30,000 is too small.
Yeah, it's small. They have to be careful about what time they start games there too. Just, how you're gonna amend the fans with, the heat there during the summer.
Well, now wait a minute. Go back to the picture, because we're talking retractable dome.
Correct.
Well, in Vegas, that thing ain't going to be open very often.
Exactly. So it gets hot during that June, July. It's going to be over 100 degrees. Just start time. If you're going to open up the roof, that game has to be late. But just interesting to see the amenities they have for the fans. Looks like a beautiful ballpark. Obviously, it's a drawing. But you got the view of the strip in the background. But I think a lot of people are excited to get out there to Vegas and see it. It's just 30,000 people is not a lot.
I've lost some money in some of those places.
I think a lot of people have, George.
We'll go to the break. Speaking of money, I intend to make you some. I'm on a roll. 2-game win. Oh, wait a minute. 3-game winning streak.
Yeah. Florida the other night, George.
We're about to take it to 5 when we come back.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
Starting to save for your future doesn't have to be difficult. Let Wilson Bank and Trust help tone up your financial goals this year. Our certificates of deposits or CDs can help your money work harder with our competitive rates, earning you more than ever before. WBT checking options allow you to earn rewards you can really use, like a high interest rate or cash back on check card purchases when you meet some e-banking qualifications. Visit your closest Wilson Bank and Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC.
Family owned and operated for more than 2 decades, Alaco Fine Wood Floors is Nashville and Middle Tennessee's choice for premium quality hardwood floors. Since 1995, Jimmy Alaco and his army of employees have embodied the approach of taking pride in one's craft and providing superior customer service, growing from a one-man shop to a team of 23 professionals who share the founder's passion for quality craftsmanship and customer satisfaction. If you are interested in contacting them, you can find their headquarters at 2505 Winford Avenue in Berry Hill, or give them a call at 615-356-0303. Again, that's 615-356-0303, or log on to AlacoFineWoodFloors.com. Alaco Fine Wood Floors, serving Middle Tennessee's hardwood flooring needs since 1995.
At Baird, we have a different slant on global financial advice. That global capabilities mean nothing without personal attention. We have investor relationships in 35 countries and market expertise in over 40 industry verticals, all to help make the most important investment connections of all, yours. Global financial advice with a client-first approach. It's the shape of things to come. Discover the Baird difference at BairdDifference.com.
Hey, thank you for meeting with me today. The insurance company has made an offer.
Already? How?
They've offered you the entire policy.
Thank you, Blair.
You're so welcome.
I noticed the lights were on and I thought you might be home. I wasn't sure.
Welcome back in. It is time for Plaster's Bet of the Day on a Memorial Day weekend on a Friday. Saturday presented to you by Bart Durham Injury.
Whoa. It's Bet of the Day.
Bet of the Day. Oh, sorry, wrong graphic. I thought you said I read the wrong thing. There we go.
There we go.
Bet of the Day. Look, they all look the same. Sorry, from back here. Presented to you by Bart Durham Injury Law Firm. They are simply put the best in the business. They are lawyers you can trust. So give them a call at 615-242-9000 or log on to bartdurham.com. And for George, once again, it was a good night for you. 2 wins with Boston and Dallas pulling through for you.
Oh, yeah. Celtics game was over right about the time of the anthem. Dallas, of course, had to go to OT to keep their series going. What I'm going to do is give you plays for tomorrow night because we've got both an NBA game and an NHL game. Who knows if Memorial Day, either one of these will still be playing. But here's what I think goes on Saturday. I'm taking the Celtics. I am convinced that there is something going on in this series. And when I say something going on, Boston's found their mojo. They got called a bunch of quitters as recently as Tuesday, and it appears to have lit a fire under them. This is a totally different Celtics team than what we were seeing, and all of a sudden, they've got a chance to be the first NBA team in 150 tries to overcome a 3-0 disadvantage and win a series. The heat, pun intended, is on Miami, and they're feeling it. And the one guy that can do something about it is Jimmy Butler. And if he doesn't come out lights out tomorrow night, Boston's going to win this game, and ultimately the Celtics are going to win this series in an amazing comeback. And think about it. This will be the second time in this city's history that one of these teams has pulled this. Red Sox, 2004, down 3-0 to the Yankees. They come back and close the deal against their hated rival. Now the Celtics have got this same shot, and you know what? I'm starting to believe they're going to do it. Now, that one may be a little bit of a gut shot. The second play, I feel really confident about. Vegas is simply better than Dallas. Dallas was damn lucky to win last night. Vegas closes out tomorrow night at home, and case closed. And Jamie Benn, who is suspended again tomorrow night for Dallas, he won't have to worry about it. There will not be a game 6 in this series. Celtics, Vegas, we're going 2-0. And we'll celebrate when we come back on Tuesday. No show Monday with the holiday. We'll be back with you on Tuesday. Drive safely. Remember the words Memorial Day on Monday. Take a few minutes to say thanks to Americans who have given up their life so we can have the freedom we have. For David Wilson, for Billy Derrick, for Butch Samide, for our entire crew, Kelly Holcomb as well. George Plaster, have a great holiday weekend. We'll see you on Tuesday.